Buddham sharanam gacchami.
Buddham sharanam gacchami.
Buddham sharanam gacchami. Dhammam sharanam gacchami.
Dhammam sharanam gacchami.
Dhammam sharanam gacchami. Sangham sharanam gacchami.
Sangham sharanam gacchami.
Sangham sharanam gacchami. Buddham sharanam gacchami. Dhammam sharanam gacchami. Sangham sharanam gacchami.
Buddham sharanam gacchami. Dhammam sharanam gacchami. Sangham sharanam gacchami. Buddham sharanam gacchami. Dhammam sharanam gacchami. Sangham sharanam gacchami.
Nagalame Jevenje, Shabjipemula Duching, Kumbakun Ledrojama, Drama Yumla Chance Law, Omdare to the Retureso, Umdare 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 to the Retureso. Dare tu dare tu re so, 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 dare tu dare tu re so. Dare tu dare tu re so, 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 dare tu dare tu re so. Dare tu dare tu re so, 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 dare tu dare tu re so. Dare tu dare tu re so, 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 dare tu dare tu re so. Dare tu dare tu re so, 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 dare tu dare tu re so. Dare tu dare tu re so, 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 dare tu dare tu re so. Dare tu dare tu re so, ha gewandi. Pama drama tu jone, bawa chik jamale. Diye salang gubara sho. Tashi the lake. Last time we read verse 58, where we discussed the essencelessness of samsara or cycle of existence. Whether you look at your body in terms of its impermanence, or in terms of its selflessness, or in terms of having no protection and no support and no permanent safe place to stay. So thus Nagarjuna encourages the king to develop renunciation. Renunciation is not escapism. When misunderstood, people might think it is simply running away from responsibility. There are people who, when they are not in good terms with their family members, then they say, I'm going to practice renunciation, which is not renunciation, which is simply running away from responsibilities. So renunciation is not running away from responsibility. In fact, it is taking a big responsibility. This must be understood, because the more you renounce, give up the unnecessary things of life, the more you will get time and energy to do the good thing. So that is, I think, is the target of these teachings. I was today proofreading a book where there was a reference to the great Kadamba master Potova, where Potova is said to be a great teacher who understood the meaning of shortage of time. And he would always say, I have no time. So initially, I felt probably maybe similar like us, especially these days. Everybody says, I have no time. But these two statements are totally different. When Potova says, I have no time, he is saying, I have no time for meaningless things. Whereas when we say we have no time, we are saying we have no time for meaningful things. All the hustle and bustle, all the running that we are doing today is primarily, I don't want to be too pessimistic, but I'm saying primarily we run for not so important things. Whereas in the case of masters like Podova, he was busy thinking about others, cultivating bodhicitta, cultivating compassion, doing meditation, reading text, and things like that. So therefore, these teachings really urges us to, number one, realize the preciousness of this human life, how difficult it is to find, and then take the essence out of it, achieve the purpose out of this very difficult to obtain human life. I mean, if you don't do that, then it's really like having a very precious gem or 2, 3 kilos of gold, but treating them as kilos of mud or clay, which is a shame, right? So therefore, if we end up doing the things that even animals can do, then what is use of this so-called precious human life? What is use of this big head and big brain, right? So therefore, it is really high time that we realize the importance of this life that we have obtained. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama repeatedly says, if there's no way to change our life, change our fate, transform our attitude, then there is no point highlighting these sufferings and negative things. But we need to talk about suffering problems because there is a way to eliminate and reduce these sufferings and problems. Therefore, it is worthwhile to discuss it, right? So therefore, uh, we need to realize the fact about one's own life, its impermanence, its fragility, its selflessness, and things like that. The more you understand it, the more you will develop love and compassion for others who also have a similar feature. Okay. So therefore, in the next verse, we are talking about, exactly the same point, reflecting about how difficult it is to obtain this precious human life with the leisure and endowment and make it meaningful. That's the purpose. Make it meaningful. So therefore, the text says, "O Lord of men, make this human life fruitful by practicing the holy Dharma. For it is more difficult to obtain a human birth from animal states than a turtle." Here it is translated turtle, but I heard that tortoise live on the land. So here we are talking about turtle, I think, not tortoise. Turtle to place its neck in the aperture of a wooden yoke, which are in the same ocean. So therefore, this verse is saying that human life is very difficult to obtain in terms of examples. Example is this one. One example is this one. Another example that I remember is if you throw a handful of marbles on the wall, none of them will stick there. So obtaining human life is as difficult as that. Likewise, here in this case, he gives this example of a blind turtle who cranes out his neck in the hole of a wooden yoke, which are in the same ocean, but the turtle is said to crane out his neck once in 100 years, only once in 100 years. And that yoke with just one hole is floating all around on the surface of that ocean. Now, under such a situation, to have the neck of the turtle come right in the hole of that golden yoke is next to impossible, right? So such is the difficulty of human life. And then secondly, in terms of nature also, you will be able to find that human life is very difficult to find. For example, compare your life with the tiger, with the lion, with the birds, with the, human beings have so many great facilities, right? For example, your hands are free, you can scratch your back, you can turn back, look up, down, all these flexibilities, all this, acrobatics that people are able to do. Human beings have that facility. Then most important thing is this capacity to judge, to analyze, to think. No other animals have that, right? So therefore, in terms of its nature, it's really, really difficult to find. And then in terms of number, also very difficult to find. Now, when we say in terms of number, it's difficult to find, people might immediately, think that, oh, this is questionable, because today the world population is expanding, right? And in fact, there is a kind of human, population explosion. Right now, in September 2021, the human population is 7.99 billion. So it's a huge number. But then if you look carefully and compare, this number is of course big number, but if you compare this number with other number of other animals, even for example, like an ant, I mean, it's just countless. That's one thing. Then second thing is, when we talk about precious human life and the difficulty of finding it in terms of number and so forth, it is not so much about how much is the population right now. It is really, a question with you. In your case, think about yourself. In your case, is it easy to obtain this human life again? That's the question. And then among the so-called human beings, how many are really living a meaningful human life? Unfortunately, majority are living almost like animals, and worse than that. As I repeatedly mentioned earlier, animals don't do so much damage as we human beings are doing. So that is worse than animals, right? So therefore, we cannot perhaps call that life precious human life. So in terms of true precious human life, it is just countable, right? For example, how among the human population, how many are there who abstains from the 10 non-virtuous activities and who practices the 10 virtuous activities, right? And if you look at our actual reality, how strongly we are habituated with the negative emotions. And when you look at this abundance of negative emotions being present with you while you claim to be a practitioner, if that is the state of a practitioner, what about the others who don't have any practice and who have no idea what is to practice and what is to adopt and what is to give up, right? So therefore, uh, it's really, really through deep thinking, one has to understand the reality of finding this human life and make meaning out of it. Now here in this example, the ocean in which the turtle is supposed to live, that ocean refers to the samsara. The samsara, the cycle of existence in which we are living, is endless. And then the blind turtle living in that ocean symbolizes ignorance and confusion. Just like this, turtle with one blind, eye, it is impossible for that person to find the whole of that yog, golden yog, which is floating on the surface of the river. So similarly, we, out of ignorance and confusion, it's difficult for us to know the path that will take us away from this ocean of samsara. And the example that this blind turtle cranes out its neck on the surface of the water once in every 100 years is an example how difficult it is for us to obtain the life of a human being or a god. So that also explains how difficult it is for, it is to obtain this human life. So you have obtained something which is really, really difficult to obtain. So don't take it for granted that you will die and again be a human being, things like that. So in this human life, what we need to do is prepare the path in the future lives so that we will take a rebirth, which if not better than this, at least should not be worse than the life that we have today. It's almost like you're planning and taking care of what is to come next month and next year. And that preparation we all, to some extent, we're all doing that. But since we don't believe in the so-called future lives, therefore, hardly anybody takes note of that. Hardly anybody takes care of it. So this reminds me a story of a question asked by somebody to a teacher by saying, "Is there future life?" And he said, "Yes, there is." Then how do you know there is a future life? Then the teacher, instead of answering that, asked the question back by saying, "Is there a tomorrow?" Then he said, "Yes." And how can you prove that there is a tomorrow? Right? It's very similar. The logic is similar. Right? The logic is similar. Okay. So therefore, now having obtained this precious human life, if you don't really use it properly, it's a great loss. Now, when it comes to like taking care of this precious human life, we need to start doing virtuous practices and beneficial activities right from today, no postponement. Because number one, even though life is very difficult to obtain, but having obtained the human life, if it is going to live a long, healthy life, if there is a guarantee, something like that, then okay, we can postpone it a little bit and do the practice later on. But that there is no guarantee how long you are going to live. So number one, life is short. Now, when we say life is short, how short? No one knows. So therefore, you are given, no guarantee of next life, next year, next month, or even tomorrow. There's no guarantee. So therefore, treasure every moment, every day we get, and give our everything, make our effort to make it meaningful, so that you don't leave any regret on this earth, and make sure that your legacy is a good one, right? Because if you don't do that preparation, one day when you are on the deathbed, then your life will flash before your eyes, just like a quick movie. So at that time, make sure it is worth watching, and so that you don't have to regret. So there is a sense of urgency, but this is the fact. These statements are not meant to unnecessarily frighten anybody. And of course, with proper understanding, if you develop some kind of fear, that will provoke you to do good things. Normally, we don't, do good things. Like, for example, when we are a little bit frightened by this pandemic, then you automatically take care, unless you are very, very stupid, stubborn person, you will take care of hand sanitization and masking and things like that. That is it, you see. So therefore, the Buddhist teaching says suffering is introduction to happiness. But the problem here is we wake up only when we personally confront that tragedy, that suffering, not before. Important things. If you really want to follow the path of the wise people, then preparation must be made much before, be it you for your physical health or your mental health. Preparation must be made much before. For the individual, for the society, if we write much in advance, if we make the necessary preparations, observe, sanitization, cleanliness, health, harmony, friendship, all those things, if we do that, there will be no problem of any kind in the society. Even if there is a problem, it will be just tiny problem, manageable problem. But then the problem is we never wake up. So therefore, Buddha, the very word meaning of that epithet, Buddha, means somebody who is awake, which means we are sleeping. So we need to wake up before it is too late. Not only wake up, but start going. Verse 60, having obtained the human birth, one who commits sins is more foolish than one who fills a jewel-adorned golden vessel with vomit. If you have a very precious pot adorned with precious gems and golds and things like that, so it is understandable that you put something, precious or nicely cooked food or some other delicacies. But instead of putting those worthy stuffs, if you put, if you use it as a vomiting place, or if you make it as a toilet seat, something like that. I mean, it's a very unfortunate. But actually, there is no limit to human stupidity and foolishness. I heard that many rich people actually, they prefer to, to have a toilet seat made of gold. And then however rich they are, what they are going to put in their toilet, it's the same filthy excretion which we all do. So it's only blindness, stupidity, ignorance that we go to that extent. So it's really changing the external situation, glorifying yourself, whereas you can't change yourself unless you change your mind. This physical body itself is disintegrating all the time, subject to death and decay, as we already discussed. So therefore, if you misuse this golden pot like human life, and instead of doing something worthwhile, something beneficial, if you keep on doing the negative deeds and sins, then there cannot be a more foolish act than this one. Verse number 61. Verse number 61 is really like counseling the king to exert himself, to make effort, because at this time he has achieved an extraordinarily good foundation, what we call as the instruction on the four wheels. Instruction on the four wheels. Instruction on the four wheels means just like a cart or any machine, which if it has four wheels, then it can smoothly and quickly travel. So similarly, in our case also, when we have found this four-wheel-like precious facility situations, then if we use it properly and do practice, the speed of our spiritual practice, the speed of development of our spiritual practice towards nirvana and enlightenment will be much faster. Just as traveling in a car with four wheels is much faster than you're walking on your foot. Okay, so therefore, you possess the four great conditions, four favorable conditions. That is, dwelling in a suitable place, relying upon the holy ones, having religiously applied yourself in former lives, and having collected merit. Now, dwelling in a suitable place means that you live in a place where there is there is the availability of practice of Dharma, and that you have freedom to do Dharma practice. I mean, even today, in many parts of the world, either that the teaching of the Buddha is not disseminated there, or because of the situation of that country, there is no freedom, just like uh, in China today. Okay, so having obtained this favorable situation, it is important to do Dharma practice. Even in the case of a meditator, it is said that you should meditate in a place which is salutary. Salutary means the place should be favorable. It should be a place where there is no, uh, harmful animals and insects and poisonous snakes and the water being pure and things like that. So therefore, while it is important to undergo some hardship to do Dharma practice, but you should not do it at the cost of unnecessarily subjecting yourself to sickness and illness. Okay, and especially if you are somebody who wants to do the Dharma practice for the benefit of many sentient beings, for achieving liberation and enlightenment, your life becomes all the more important and precious. So it is wrong to think that what I'm doing is just for myself. What you're doing is for so many people. So therefore, you have that responsibility to take care of yourself. You are now very important. You may not have a title of a king or a Rinpoche or reincarnation, things like that. But because of your work, because of your commitment, your life becomes very precious, very important. And you can make that life precious by doing these practices. Even if you do that practice just for 1 day, 1 hour, you are making that hour, that day precious. So it is in your hand. And in this regard, everybody has capacity. So don't belittle yourself. Everybody has capacity to do good things. Okay, that's really, really important to encourage oneself, to be happy that I am not a dog or a cow or things like. I'm a human being. However difficult my situation is, I can change. Okay, even if you are falling in the dirt, you have the capacity to gaze to the brightness of the star and the sun and the moon. That means not to lose your hope. It is possible, right? It is possible. And it is actually interesting that, at least according to my observation, majority of the people, however difficult and desperate they are, they try their best to carry a smile on their face. I think this is a gift of nature, because the nature is telling us that when all fails, when everything else fails, the only thing that will protect you is keeping your smile, keeping your hope. And it is also the part of the gift from the nature, that if there is day, there is a night. If there is a night, it doesn't mean it will be night all through. There will be night tomorrow, right? So like that. And having both happiness, suffering is really almost like the part of the deal. And we learn from suffering, we learn from challenges, we learn from problems, right? Japanese, in the Japanese art, I heard that in Japan, if a pot breaks, then they would decorate it a little bit and they keep it in the museum. Whereas in some places, we would say, oh, don't give it, this is broken. But in Japanese art, they especially keep that pot with the cracks, with the philosophical belief that it is only when there is a crack that the light of the sun can come. I mean, this is a wonderful way of thinking. So similarly, in our life also, if there is a problem, there is a tragedy, there is a crack, then there is an opportunity to challenge the difficulty and grow further, right? So don't see everything in completely in black and white terms, but see everything from a holistic point of view. Okay. Mhm. And relying upon holy ones. So right now we are reading this Nagarjuna's letter to friend. So we are relying on the holy master like Nagarjuna. So we have access to such holy masters also. And having religiously applied yourself in former lives. That means when we obtain this precious human life, it is said that you obtain this precious human life with a collection of many causes and conditions. The three important causes and conditions for this precious human life is it should be based on a practice of pure morality. And must be supported by the practice of the six perfections. And then also you must have aspired and prayed to obtain such a precious human life. So with this kind of causal collections, we obtain such a precious human life. So that's what he's saying here, that in the past life, former lives also, you have undertaken religious practices and also you have collected merit. So without which it is not possible to obtain such a precious human life. So this can be understood best in the sense that every conditioned phenomena in this world, in this universe, comes from their causes and conditions. Nothing can come out of no cause and no condition. Nothing can come out of nothing. Okay. And then a favorable place is also a place where there are uh, the uh, the highest ordination of a monk and nun, the bhikshu and bhikshunis. Okay. And similarly, the male and female upasaka and upasikas. So therefore, presence of bhikshuni is also important, right? So in the Tibetan tradition right now, there is no lineage of, giving bhikshuni ordination, but because of change of time and because of increasing number of population of nuns, unlike in the past, many are now opting to become nuns. So because of this, if properly explored, I think we should find a way to restore bhikshuni ordination. Although we had many discussions before and no clear resolution came, but I'm sure we'll find a way. Okay, in terms of study, His Holiness the Dalai Lama has already made it equal for monks and nuns to get the highest Geshe degree, the Doctor of Divinity. Geshe Ma, we already have the first batch of Geshe Ma, and second, third batch are already coming out, right? So this is, I think, very, very important. Because when we talk about spiritual practice, it is a mental exercise. And with mental exercise, there is no difference in being men or women. And moreover, if I'm not wrong, I found that women are actually more kind of prone to love and compassion and things like that. And in many of my talks, not only just my talks, but in many of His Holiness talks and other teachers' talks also, normally I find the attendance of women is much more, right? Because women have that capacity to procreate, to produce children. That means producing children is not an easy job. It is procreation. It is making life. It is giving life. And it is by giving that gift of life, naturally, the mother thinks not about herself alone, but thinks about at least two, three, her children, you see. So that really prepares the mind of the woman, the mother, to think more about others, to show more love, to show more affection, things like that. So whatever be the situation, I think women should keep it in your mind whether there is any kind of able to follow any particular system or not, but they should make every effort to do the best. Because in academic, academic practices and also Dharma practices, it's basically mental exercise. So we all have the capacity, similar capacity. And the Buddha, if you read the Buddha's teaching, in many Buddhist texts, they make a little bit not so nice comment about women, because any particular religion, is influenced by that culture, prevailing culture in that country. So Buddhism also no exception. It really looks like it's also influenced by the culture. So therefore, there is some kind of disparity between men and women. But later on, if you look at the Kala Chakra, which is the latest Tantra, then Buddha made it a point that, in one of the, after receiving a Tantric initiation, Kala Chakra initiation, one of the precepts that you need to follow mentions that if you deny great or look down upon women, it is a violation of the precept. Such thing is not said to the man. So therefore, the Buddha is really looks like restoring some of the lapses that happened in the past because of cultural influences. So anyway, the main point is there's no philosophical, need of any philosophical reasoning. It's plain for all of us to see that we are all equal, right? We are all equal. Physically, maybe men are stronger, but physical strength is more like the strength of animal. Animals don't have big brain. So I'm not saying men have no brain, but what I'm saying is animals use primarily the physical force because they have less brain. So if human beings also focus more on physical power, less on brain or human thinking power, I think it's absolutely wrong. So therefore, we need to really pay more attention to uplift the less privileged people in the society, children, women, and men also. There among men also there are many less privileged people. We are same. Everybody wanting happiness, not wanting suffering. We are all going to die. So within this short time, we must know how to help each other, encourage each other. That's really, really important. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Next verse number 28. Chapter 9. Verse number 62. So verse number 62 is a little bit like a Guru Yoga practice. Instruction on Guru Yoga practice. The sage, which means Buddha, the sage said that reliance upon a spiritual friend completes the path to holiness. Since very many obtained peace through relying upon the conqueror, that means conqueror means Buddha, because he conquered the negative emotions. He did not conquer any other place, capture any other place, did not kill anybody, but just conquered his inner negative emotions. I mean, these are beautiful coinage of words. Buddha is called conqueror, victor, by gaining victory over his own negative emotions. That is what we need today. Right? One who conquers and kills other people is really like gaining control over dead body. Right? So the real hero is one who conquers, who has control over himself, not controlling other people. You can never control other people, and it's a very futile exercise and shameful exercise to control others. As I said repeatedly before, all of us have similar capacity to, develop love and compassion, similar capacity to live a free, happy, peaceful life. So who are you to control the life of other people? So control yourself. If you control yourself, it's really equal to controlling the whole world. And Nagarjuna, Shantideva very clearly says this in his, Bodhisattva way of life, with this example, I think in chapter 6, where he says, in order to protect the sole of your feet, if you go and say that I want to cover the whole globe with leather, it is impossible exercise. From where are you going to get such a big amount of leather? And it's also, he says, not needed, because your concern is just to protect your feet being pricked by thorn, and that you can do just by putting a proper leather on the sole of your shoes. There's no need for you to cover the whole globe. So similarly, if you control your negative emotions, everything will be different. What you see is a reflection of your mind. If you have a lot of attachment, desire, you will see things in a different way. If you have a lot of anger, hatred, you will see things in a different way. But if you are able to control your own negative emotions and with a realistic outlook and perspective, see things, everything will be different. And love and concern for others will emanate easily. I mean, when you see, other people, small children playing around, or people moving around, immediately you may be seeing that person for the first time, but you will be able to. Sometimes I try to do that. Sometimes I don't try, but it comes in my mind. I'm not a practitioner. Okay, I'm not pretending and saying that I'm a practitioner, but it comes in my mind, maybe because of study and things like that. Sometimes for me, it is very helpful when you see, for example, an arrogant person or a little bit nasty person, or just any other person. When you see that person, now a fully grown up person, if you visualize that person, how that person would be in his or her childhood. And we all know how innocent and how sweet the children are, you see. So try to see that small little child in that arrogant person, in that greedy person. Your heart will immediately melt. And then you will be able to talk to that person. Show your affection and love and guidance, whatever, you'll be able to do that. Because you are destroying that gap which is created by our projection, our negative ways of thinking. Even the worst of criminals, they also came from their mother as an innocent child. They are not born killers, but because of the situation, circumstances, wrong education, wrong guidance, people are made into such a state. So therefore, it is our responsibility to educate people properly. These days, interestingly, now it's a good sign. Many people are now using the word flourishing when educating. So education is not reading, writing, and mathematics, but human flourishing. Overall development of human being, to be happy, to be peaceful, to be free. So that kind of attitude, that we are all same, and especially in today's world, with these nuclear arsenals and so forth, we are all, if we don't do things properly, we are all probably going to die together. It's not only the human kind of creations, but also look at the stars, the collation of the, stars and things like that. If there's a big explosion, we are all gone. So this being the case, it makes complete sense to live happily today. Today is the cash. Tomorrow is post-dated check. Live happily today. Today means tomorrow also today. Like that. So it is in our hand. It is in our hand. Okay. So the sage said that reliance upon a spiritual friend completes the path of holiness. Now, path of holiness, or sometimes they use the word path of celibacy. So here the path of celibacy or holiness really refers to nirvana, because it is by relying on a qualified spiritual teacher that you will be able to move towards that holy goal of liberation. And this is what the Buddha taught. Therefore, you must rely upon a sublime teacher, not any teacher, but sublime teacher. In Tibetan, we use the word Geveshinye. Geshe means Geveshinye, which means in Hindi we call it Kalyan Mitra. Kalyan ke liye Mitra. So that means spiritual teacher is somebody who has good moral practice, who practices concentration, who cultivates wisdom, who helps others. So there are 10 qualities that must be there. Who knows more than you, who, more importantly, who has compassion to you and things like that, right? So find a reliable teacher. I think I mentioned earlier also, if you are really looking for more serious study and practice, it's important to find a reliable teacher. Unfortunately, there are today many people, so-called teachers who are constantly advertising themselves, how great I am. Come and attend my teaching, you'll get liberation in 1 week and Buddhahood in 10 days. Things like that. Unfortunately, human beings are human beings. In whatever costume they are, human beings are human beings. We all make mistakes. So there are teachers who unfortunately doesn't have a good motivation. And in many cases also don't have much knowledge, right? And then people who are in spiritual difficulty, familial difficulty, they are looking for some people, some guidance, right? So if you again get in the hand of those wrong people, I mean, it's not good for you and for the teacher also. So therefore, as His Holiness the Dalai Lama always says, there is no harm in listening to others, other teachers. It's like listening talks. Just by listening to somebody, you don't have to accept that as your root guru or spiritual teacher. If you get some good advices, be thankful, but you don't have to accept that person as your teacher. It's like somebody giving you a cup of tea. Even if somebody gives you a cup of tea, it's normal to say thank you. So with that particular talk and teaching, if you got some benefit, say thank you, but you don't have to tie your neck with that person. Take time, take time. Number of people have asked me to find a good teacher. I always say His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I say this because there's no risk and there is benefit. And many people also think that to have somebody as your teacher means that you have to live together with that person. Yes, if you are closer to that person, there are benefits, but it is not always necessary to be together, right? Especially these days, you can receive all those teachings online, right? Which is actually very good. You get the advices, and then there is a risk, no risk of getting into trouble by living together, right? So therefore, even if you buy a mobile phone or something, you need to check carefully, right? Even if you buy some bananas in the fruit market, you have to check carefully whether the bananas are rotten or not. So similarly, if you're looking for a teacher, of course you should be careful. Not just teacher, when you make human friends, be very careful. Be very careful. As I mentioned earlier, when we make friendship with other human beings, it should be like the way we associate with fire. If you come too close to the fire and touch it, you will be burnt. But if you stay too away from the fire, you will not get the warmth, the heat. So therefore, stay in a comfortable distance from where you can get the benefit, but not be harmed. Right? So don't be gullible. Don't be gullible. Okay. Okay, so here the holy place here refers to the path that leads to liberation. Okay. This is called holy path because it's a path that leads you state of transcendence, transcending the suffering. Okay. Then with this word lama, the Tibetan word lama, you should not call every monk as lama. Okay. Lama means superior one. You become superior in two ways. One, you may be somebody who is said to be a reincarnation of somebody. So that may be true or not true, but because he managed to got their title reincarnation, people will call him superior one, lama, lama. Then there are others who through their love, compassion, morality, knowledge, as and when they grow older, many people come to seek their advices and guidances. So from the people, they offer the title Guruji. The third title Lama is similar to the Hindi word Guru. The Hindi word Guru has two meanings. One, Guru means one who is heavily laden with spiritual knowledges, spiritual qualities. That's one meaning. The second meaning is Gu means ignorance. Ru means eliminating. So the real teacher or guru should be somebody who eliminates your ignorance, your confusion. So this is very similar to the word lama. So the real lama, genuine lama, should be somebody who cares more about others than about oneself. So now you can see how difficult it is to become a lama. One who cares more about others than oneself. One who cares more about the next life than this life. These are the desired qualifications. So which is difficult to find. But anyway, you should look for a teacher who has more compassion and who has knowledge. That's important. And who is ready to, undergo some hardship in guiding you, teaching you, and so forth. Okay. Then verse 63 and 64, you might have heard about this many times before, so I'm going to quickly read it. So this verse 63 and 64 are saying that you should make effort while you have the facilitating conditions, and when you are free from the hindrances and obstructions. Whoever is born as a heretic, that means one who is with the wrong view, or born as an animal, or a hungry ghost, hell being, barbarian, fool, long-lived deity, or where there is no teaching from a Buddha, is declared to be born in the 8 faulty and unfavorable states. Having gotten the opportunity to be free from them, then strive to put an end to birth. So basically saying you are free from all these 8 non-leisure states. So therefore, this is high time to make effort, right? So sometimes even in the case of some people who are materially rich, so they are like, some of them probably is living like a god. Here it mentions the word god. Gods are those who have all the necessary facilities to enjoy. All of them are like healthy and looking great. So therefore, they don't think about the faults of samsara because they don't see the fault. So they wallow in that luxury, that pleasure. So similar like that, if you are too pampered by material accumulations, then unfortunately you will not be able to see the faults of the samsara. You might start thinking that you are living in paradise. People with power, people with money, the so-called famous actors and actresses. I've seen a number of them. I met a number of them. I'm not saying they are as a person good or bad. I'm not making any comment, but because of the situation, the surrounding, you are living in almost like a different world. So you don't contemplate about those things. They will regret only when they're on the deathbed, right? But then it's too late. Too late. Okay. So anyway, you are free from this 8 non-leisure states, and instead you have obtained this freedom to practice Dharma. Not only freedom, but also the needed facilities. If you make the effort, you are born, you have the freedom as a human being, right? And you have the capacity, not only the freedom, but you also have the capacity and also have the facilities, because teachings are available, teachers are available, needed facilities are available. So very lucky. So use this opportunity. Use this opportunity. Okay? Because at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, we cannot escape from the possible sufferings, problems, death, separation. It's part of the game. Illnesses, disease, and so forth. There's no way, whoever you are. So on those days, when you encounter such problems, difficulties, the only thing that will help you is your inner resources, which if you have, will be there with you all the time, wherever you go. Your friends will not be with you all the time. Even your money and your beautiful house, you cannot take them wherever you go, right? But your inner qualities will help you, guide you. In Buddhism, we call it inner tutor, inner teacher. External teacher is very important, but inner teacher is also extremely, extremely important. So that means if we change our attitude from the negative to the positive, we can really make our life happy, and we can also contribute towards happiness of other people. That is 100% sure. That's guaranteed. Now, whether we practice or not, it's up to us. And not only that, there's no other solution so far. And especially, I'm not just now saying that Buddhism is the best religion or other religions are not good. I'm not at all saying this, but what I'm saying is, for example, if I mention just one unique feature of the Buddhist teaching, one, the core foundational teaching of Buddha is to combine the heart and the head, knowledge with compassion. Right? In fact, compassion can be developed with knowledge, with awareness. Right? And then in order to reach the higher state of nirvana and enlightenment and so forth, the path that is taught is called stages of the path, lamrim. It's really like a roadmap by which you can go from Dharamshala to Delhi and so forth. It's a roadmap. I do a lot of reading, but there are so many other things to read which I am not aware, maybe because of this. But so far, according to my reading of Western philosophy, Western science, and other literatures, I have not come across a single philosophical system which talks about that holistic path, right from the beginning to find a teacher until you become Buddha. Stages of the path, stage by stage practice, which is in accordance with the law of nature. So therefore, in a very realistic way, what is being taught is the Buddha is saying there is no push button enlightenment. You may be living in the 21st century and you may be going to 22nd century and so forth, but as far as inner enlightenment is concerned, there is no push button enlightenment. It has to go stage by stage. And I strongly believe this is actually in accordance with the law of nature. Look at the growth of a tree or even growth of flower. It has to grow stage by stage. When you move from the ground floor to the second floor to third floor, you have to go stage by stage, step by step. Even if you use an elevator or a lift, it will not reach there, boom, like that, However fast it is going stage by stage. So especially for spiritual development, gradual practice, stage by stage practice is very important. Continuous, sustained practice is very important because we are ruled by a mind which is predominantly negative, and we are strongly habituated with that negative tendency, negative habit. And to undo that negative habit and tendency, it takes time, it takes effort. And with time, with gradual practice, with commitment, it is 100% sure that we can change. For example, you may be a very hot-tempered person when you are young, right? But gradually, not necessarily just listening to Buddha's teaching, but gradually, when you see so many things, experience so many things, the life's experience tells you the solution is not by becoming angry. So therefore, mostly if you look at elderly people, they are more patient. They become patient, not necessarily with deep spiritual insight, but they have seen clearly the futility of these negative emotions, uselessness of these negative emotions. They have seen that playing many kind of dramas in life is not the solution. Whereas in our life, ordinarily, we play drama. We say one thing, do another thing, show one thing, hide another thing. So all the time we are doing kind of little kind of business. So I've been repeatedly telling people that when we are asked to show love, we are asked to show unconditional love, not the business love. Business love means I love you so long as you love me. That is called business. What is being taught in Buddhism says, I love you whether you love me or not, because I know you are also exactly like me, wanting happiness, not wanting suffering. And when you do any virtuous practice with this unconditional, state, not for bargaining, not for business, then that is, even if you undertake giving, it's true gift. Even if you show love, it's genuine love. And I had mentioned this earlier repeatedly. For example, you look at yourself, you have some sense already. For example, with yourself, you also love yourself. You also take care of yourself, not because you have done something good to yourself, not necessarily. And at least you don't see that I will look after myself only if I've done something good to myself. You don't do that calculation. You will look after yourself because it is something that must be done, because you want happiness, you do not want suffering. Therefore, you look after it. Right? And you look after yourself, and every time you look after yourself, you don't have to say thank you. So why are we expecting thank you from other people when we do something to other people? when you don't do that with yourself. So these are, what I'm saying really is like, these are common sense things. Okay. So I think time is gone. So we stop here today.
And so Tachina, thank you so much, Geshe. We'll take some questions now. Jackie, please go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you for your teaching.
Your voice is always very low. I don't know.
What? Can you hear me now?
Your voice is very low, not very
Is
clear.
it?
Yeah.
Oh, at all? How about now?
Yeah,
No?
yeah, better.
Okay. Thank you very much for your teaching. I was wondering, you mentioned everything is a reflection on the mind.
Yes.
Is that the same idea as non-duality? I don't understand what non-duality comes, and it comes up a lot in Buddhism. The non-duality of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. The non-duality, yes, to some extent, but non-duality has many different meanings. Non-duality could be subject-object non-duality. Non-duality also in the sense of having no inherent independent existence, as we mentioned earlier. So it has many different connotations. Yeah, but in a way, as I said, in a way it is true, because when we talk about like shunyata or emptiness, we talk about maintaining equal taste to everything. So from that parlance, there is nothing that has inherent independent existence. In that state, not only ordinary phenomena, but also if you make a comparison between samsara and nirvana, they are also of one taste. That means both samsara and nirvana doesn't have inherent independent existence, right? So like that, if you are able to develop understanding regarding the deeper realities of life, like the impermanent nature, the selfless nature, the emptiness nature, and so forth, and then the nature of everybody's suffering and things like that, then you don't, there's then not much room is left for making discrimination, right? So therefore, that's the point I'm making when I say it's very much dependent upon how you see things, right? Ordinarily, because of the strong negative emotions within oneself, whatever we see, we project it as 100% beautiful, 100% ugly, 100% negative. This person looks so beautiful, this person looks so ugly. so with your polluted mind, the projection you make is also polluted. And then there is every reason to become upset or angry and things like that. Okay.
Sorry, thank you. But in terms of subjects and objects, like if you notice that sometimes the way you react is in your mind, you've reacted to an object a certain way, and it's in your mind, that it's bad. So is that like the duality of subject and object, when you realize that the way you react to the object is also just in your mind?
So when we talk about duality or subject-object duality, and we also talk about having no inherent existence, we are not saying things don't exist. So that important distinction must be made. Things exist, but not as we see with our polluted mind.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Geshe, we have one more question from Dinara. She says, when we look, as you say, when we look at difficult people as little children, isn't it that we look a little bit down at them?
No. No, you don't have to say that you are like little children. It's how you think. You know, when we look at the little children, we are not looking down upon little children. We are seeing them as cute, innocent, you know, and something not worthy of getting angry, right? Normally, that is the feeling that we develop when we see any small kid, you know, right? So that kind of attitude I'm talking about. It's not in the sense that this person is not so educated like small children, you know, not in that sense.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Natasha. Gishla, this is a question from Maximilian. I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. He or she is asking, is requesting you to please elaborate on the concluding line of verse number 64, which says, having gotten the opportunity to be free from them, then strive to put an end to birth. On that line, then strive to put an end to birth. Can you please expand on it?
Strive to put an end to birth in the samsara, a birth which is result of contaminated actions and negative emotions. Not birth in general, but this, you know, birth without freedom, because the birth we have in the samsara is projection of negative actions and contaminated actions and afflictive emotions. So therefore we have aging, sickness, death, and so forth. Right? So that has to be eliminated. Okay, there's the meaning. So make sure that you don't have to take birth again in the samsara. That's the point.
That's okay, Gishla. Thank you so much. That was our last question for the session today.
I want more questions, please.
Please, anybody,
I'm joking.
Gishla, you can cold call someone.
No.
Yeah, so thank you so much. Thank you, Gishla. Katinches.
Okay.
We're so grateful that we can receive your teachings and also ask you questions. So thank you so much, and thank you, everybody. See you next week. Now we'll request Gishla to please lead the concluding prayer. Thank you. Thank you.